This is All India Radio Mangaluru. Dear listeners, in today's Talk in English program now, Dr. Manoj Godbole, Assistant Professor, Postgraduate Department of Biotechnology, Sri Dharmastala Manjunatheshwara College, Ujire, will speak on the subject Pollution Control Laws and their implementation in India.
India is the first country to incorporate several acts, rules, and regulations in its constitution to mitigate environmental pollution and nurture the nature. Despite this, in our country, pollution is on the rise and becoming overwhelming day by day. The statement, "It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures under fundamental duties," proves how serious our constitution is in protecting environment. Many newspapers and media recently have reported that Karnataka's second-tier cities like Tumakuru, Davangere, Hubballi, Raichuru, etc. are witnessing rise in pollution and degradation of the environment, citing a Greenpeace report. It shows, however, the lack of strict implementation and loopholes of the rules and acts in mitigating environmental pollution. Because of this, though industrial activity in these small towns is much lower, they are turning out to be the next metros in terms of pollution. This is all because of the citizens of India, by and large, are not aware of many of the rules, regulations, and laws made in order to protect the environment and whom to approach when they find misconduct in operations of various firms. For setting up an industry, company, or even a hospital, there are several precautionary measures to be followed without compromising for the environmental balance. Members who run the firm must be aware of the responsibilities to be taken before moving ahead. Dakshina Kannada district alone has various industries like petroleum oil refinery, thermal power plants, stone crushing units, rubber processing and rubber product industries, fermentation industry which includes distilleries, malteries and breweries, fertilizer industry, iron ore mining and ore processing, coffee industry, hotel industry, slaughterhouses, meat processing units, food and fruit processing industries, dairy industry, effluent treatment plants, pharmaceutical industry which includes both manufacturing and formulation, cashew seed processing industry, etc. As you may presume, all these units individually have their own sets of rules and regulations to be followed on daily basis. Even the garbage collected and sewage discharged from our houses, apartments, and hotels needs attention as they damage the environment. If all these sectors abide by the rules and regulations, then we would never have heard about ecological damages every now and then. In the year 2019, during monsoon, 26 houses and vast acreage of arecanut and coconut plantations were literally choked by massive garbage slide in Pachanadi village. It shows that the rules and regulations framed are only on papers and are not being watched and regulated closely. Let us look into lead acid battery. Whether it is a village or a metropolitan city, almost everyone is dependent upon batteries directly or indirectly as an alternative to electricity. It peaks up during summer as well as during severe monsoon when power lines and poles are damaged by natural calamities. We buy the batteries from the nearby shop. You might have seen how those batteries are handled. Only the brand new battery would be kept neat and tidy, whereas the used batteries, before handing over to the recycler, are thrown according to the wish of the proprietor. But, as per the law, the lead acid batteries should not be handled according to one's wish. Lead finds its place in various objects and items used on daily basis, in dyes and paints, in petrol, and in many more. Lead has been classified as the hazardous waste as it causes irreversible damage to the nervous system and to the environment. According to one theory, the Roman Empire vanished because of the excessive use of lead. So, lead is being regulated. Hence, for the management of lead acid batteries, Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Government of India has issued a notice on 24th September 2008 which refers the Batteries Management and Handling Rules 2001. This rule explains how to handle lead acid batteries in detail. These rules shall apply to every manufacturer, importer, reconditioner, assembler, dealer, recycler, auctioneer, consumer, and bulk consumer involved in manufacture, processing, sale, purchase, and use of batteries or components thereof. It means that every individual in one or the other way who are in connection with the lead acid battery from its production to its disposal should abide by the rules and regulations. Here, battery refers to any battery which uses lead for electricity generation. Following are some of the key responsibilities of manufacturer, importer, assembler, and reconditioner to ensure that used batteries collected back are of similar type and specifications as that of the new batteries sold. To file return of their sales and buyback to the state board twice a year. To set up collection centers either individually or jointly at various places for collection of used batteries from consumers or dealers. To ensure that used batteries collected are sent only to the registered recyclers. To ensure that necessary arrangements are made with dealers for safe transportation from collection centers to the premises of registered recyclers. To ensure that no damage to the environment occurs during transportation. To create public awareness through advertisements, publications, posters, or by other means with regard to the hazards of lead. Responsibility of consumers to return their used batteries only to the dealers or deliver at designated collection centers, and addresses of dealers and designated collection centers. To buy recycled lead only from registered recyclers. To ensure that the new batteries shall be sold only to the registered dealers. Broadly, these are the few selected rules to be known by everyone inclined to the lead acid batteries before or during use. Let's be honest. How much we are aware of these? At least one? Over 99% people, be it a layman or the most intellectual person, do not know even a single rule. We need to confess the fact. Battery not only refers to the domestic battery alone, it also includes batteries used in computers, UPS, scooters, bikes, cars, buses, lorries, at all capacities. How much vigilant are we while using them? In the name of sustainable use or for saving money or for the longevity, we bring home the old battery casing from the nearby battery vendor and plant ornamental plants and vines, vegetable and fruit plants, and tubers in them instead of using earthen pots. Before planting, we often wash it with water. Though the lead is removed before it is sold, there will be traces of it which simply awash into the nearby water resources and soil while cleaning and irrigation, thus causing environmental pollution. During this action, are we aware of how much lead enters into the fruits and vegetables that we grow? Used and non-functional large batteries are at least exchanged against the brand new battery because of the small rebate offered by the vendor. But for smaller batteries, such rewards are missing. So, we tend to throw it wherever we wish. It is a common sighting all around. Even the garage owner throws it all around when he removes the worn out batteries from the scooters and bikes. This is the case of a mighty and costly battery. What about the battery cells available in almost every store? Every household is dependent on lead-containing battery cell for the torches, clock, radio, and various other gadgets used on daily basis. Do the rules mentioned applies to these lead battery cells too? There is no clarity on this. If you remember, these tiny worn-out battery cells were used to give a black coloration while applying cow dung slurry to the mud flooring in the olden days. Lead from the cells in the form of a gum was even applied to stop the seepage of utensils in the kitchen. As these activities are limited these days, the cells are thrown into the garbage and are being mishandled. Nobody knows the fate of them. Prohibition of the open burning of waste oil is another curious notice which was issued way back in the year 1997 according to the Rule 13 of Environment Protection Rules 1986. What is this waste oil? Waste oil means any oil which includes spills of crude oil, emulsions, tank bottom sludge, and slop oil generated from petroleum refineries, installations, or ships and can be used as fuel in furnaces for energy recovery. It means that controlled burning under vigilance is allowed for the purpose of energy production but not the open burning. There is a difference in classifying oil as a waste oil and used oil. Used oil includes any oil derived from crude oil or mixtures containing synthetic oil, including spent oil, used engine oil, gear oil, hydraulic oil, turbine oil, compressor oil, industrial gear oil, heat transfer oil, transformer oil, and their tank bottom sludges. According to the Hazardous and Other Waste Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2016, both used oil and waste oil are classified as hazardous waste. There are various rules, regulations, and restrictions laid by the ministry for handling these wastes. Accordingly, used oil meant to be reprocessed if it meets the guidelines. We often see how this rule is being violated in and around our houses as people are not aware of this prohibition. Hazardous waste means any waste which by reason of characteristics such as physical, chemical, biological, reactive, toxic, flammable, explosive, or corrosive cause danger or is likely to cause danger to health or environment, whether alone or in contact with other wastes or substances. It includes various chemicals generated during pharmaceutical processes, petroleum refining, lead, copper, cadmium, arsenic, mercury, zinc, and other heavy metals, pollutants coming from copper, iron, caustic soda, chemical fertilizers, plastic, gum, paint and pigments, leather, paper industries, and any waste coming out from factories. Under this category, our used oil and waste oil has been listed. Because it is hazardous, persons involved in waste generation, handling, collection, reception, treatment, transport, storage, reuse, recycling, recovery, pre-processing, and utilization of hazardous waste must be authorized from Central Pollution Control Board and must have registered, which is subject to renewal, and every action must happen according to the rules and regulations framed. Any violations of the same will attract prosecution, penalty, and withdrawal of the authorization and license. Central Pollution Control Board has the authority to visit and inspect the operations periodically. According to the law, within 90 days, the hazardous waste must be managed appropriately. If the handling unit is too small or too far from the place of actual management, they are exempted from 90 days limit for storing the wastes. For such action, one should have proper reason and documents to support his claim. Also, details of the waste, storage date, head of the unit, designation of the person in charge, etc. must be documented. Are we aware of this when we bring home waste oil from garage while changing vehicles' engine oil periodically and lubricate our windows, bicycles, and ratchet fitted to the open well? What ill effects it may cause when all these actions discharge waste into the environment? Used oil drained out from the vehicle engines are hoarded in cans of various sizes in small garages along the roadsides. What the mechanicum owner does to this oil? Does he send it to the registered recycler or simply burns openly for the purpose of warmth during cold winter? Who monitors all this? These are the insights of only two items which are very much related even to a common man of a remote area. My intention is to make people aware of their moral duties pertaining to environment which we have inherited from our ancestors and need to preserve it for our future generations in a proper shape. Wherever we go, we leave our footprints in the form of environmental damage. In this regard, we need to act swiftly. Recently, for some drip irrigation model preparation, I did ask for cold drink bottles from a nearby canteen. As the canteen is very popular, every day several cold drink bottles are emptied along with other delicacies. Curiously, I asked the owner of the canteen how he handles them on daily basis. The canteen owner's response really did shock me. The PET bottles collected every day was being used as a fuel in the hearth of the kitchen along with firewood to prepare food. If the civic society itself behaves in this way, with what morality we preach others? Though plastic is a very common entity and people know that it can be recycled, it is unacceptable to burn it in the kitchen for whatsoever reason. Yes, there are resources available which detail all the laws, rules and regulations framed to protect and nurture environment to the general public in Central Pollution Control Board's website. But most of the contents are indigestible by the common man, as many of the terminologies only law students can understand. In this regard, CPCB officials and concerned people of the ministry must step in to bring the matter close to the public. If somebody says, I have not done any damage to the environment, then the person should simply refer the contents to check whether the claim is true or not.
Dear listeners, you have just heard a speech, Pollution Control Laws and Their Implementation in India, delivered by Dr. Manoj Godbole. This talk came to you from the studios of All India Radio Bangalore.